Buzz, we're seeing just the real increasing demand in every community for more housing. Every community, housing affordability is a real challenge. And so we want to try and create a culture where people are looking to build housing that we need in our community. And so one of the fastest tools to incentivize the creation of more housing are accessory dwelling units.
Welcome back to the Just Build Baby studio. You're listening to the BuildX Podcast. I'm your host, Buz Artiano. Today we have a very special guest, Lieutenant Governor Kim Driscoll, with more than 20 years of experience in public service. The Lieutenant Governor brings a wealth of insight, leadership, and real-world perspective to our conversation. Lieutenant Governor, welcome to the show.
Hey, Buzz. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, love the ADU bylaw. When it was first published, I was like, wow, it's only 5 pages, but honestly, having used it, it's really well written. So hats off to the whole team that wrote the law and how nuanced it really is. So thank you for that.
I mean, we wanted to make it user friendly, and we wanted accessory dwelling units to actually get built in Massachusetts, and that was the goal. How do we, craft something that enables individuals and homeowners who are thinking about ADUs to get it there, and as of right, statewide, right? So we knew it had to fit a lot of different places, and didn't want to make it too hard or too easy, or something that could enable something that doesn't work for a community or a neighborhood. But I think we landed in a good place, and we're seeing a whole lot getting built. So when we want more.
Yeah, no, it's exciting, and especially I didn't appreciate the gross floor area calculation until I really started using it, and whoever came up with that, my hats are off to them, or the people that did it. So if you see them, tell them thank you.
I will, because that, the whole floor area ratio and how you count gross floor area square footage can make or break anyone's ability to do this. Look, you can go outside of those bounds. It just means it's not as of right. So there definitely are people who maybe want something bigger, or something that it doesn't fully comply, and that means you've got to go through your community, many of whom do have a special permit process. But we wanted to put these things on go. We just want you to be able to go pull a building permit, and make it as easy as possible.
So just a couple quick questions. What inspired your administration to prioritize ADUs within this Affordable Homes Act?
Buzz, we're seeing just the real increasing demand in every community for more housing. Whether I'm in my hometown of Salem or out in Western Mass or Central Mass or the South Coast, every community, housing affordability is a real challenge. And so we want to try and create a culture where people are looking to build housing that we need in our community. That's housing for your favorite waitress, the person who teaches your student or child, the individual who might be helping care for an older adult. And oftentimes, those are the very individuals who can't afford to live in any community. I'm in a gateway city, a place that prides itself on being affordable. And just over the last decade plus, the housing has gotten unaffordable for a lot of people we rely on. And so one of the fastest tools to incentivize the creation of more housing are accessory dwelling units or in-law apartments. I mean, there's all kinds of different names, granny flats. I've heard all kinds of different names for them. We affectionately refer to them as accessory dwelling units or ADUs. And we've seen other states who have made, permitting ADUs easier or reduce those barriers, have seen real growth in the creation of an accessory dwelling unit. And given the number of individuals that have said to us, I want to be able to support my adult children. Well, you build an ADU, they can sort of live in a more affordable way on your property. Or I'm an older adult and I want my kids to have the big house, or I want to rent out the house. Or provide some additional income. ADUs they fit a lot of different needs, whether you're a young person who's coming back home, an older adult, somebody who needs a caregiver, or somebody who wants an income that could really help a member of their community. And we thought it fit a lot of different needs, and we're excited to see the growth of ADUs in communities across the Commonwealth. It's already started since this law has been adopted.
Oh yeah, 100%. So since February, town of Plymouth had passed their own ADU bylaw prior to the state, and we built the very first ADU under that bylaw, our detached ADU in Plymouth. And that's how my ADU journey started. In December of 23, I didn't even know what an ADU was. I had heard the term, but hadn't paid attention to it at all. And during that process, I constructed that first ADU in Plymouth, and it was for a family friend who I've known forever, for her older son who's nonverbal autistic. And it was a perfect use case for them. And I said to Pam, Pam, would you mind if I have an open house and see, if people are interested? And we had, over 5 weekends, we had 10, we call them ADU home tours now. And we had 300 families come through over 10 days. And I was like, okay, well, I didn't understand how many people need this. And and hearing their stories around why they needed this housing, I fell in love with it, because my early days in the 90s, I was a first-time home builder when that was such a thing. And this brings me back into that first-time home buyer route. So that's what attracted me to it. So
I love it, Buz. And like you mentioned, someone who has an adult child with a disability that needs maybe a little bit of a supportive environment, can live independently, but needs something a little bit of a tether. Like, this fits that bill immensely. We know that there are, I was in Lexington at an ADU that was created, and it was a couple whose daughter had recently gotten divorced, and her 2 children moved back into the family home, and it got a little crowded.
Oh, yeah.
So mom and dad built a beautiful ADU right adjacent to the home, not connected, but like right on the same lot, and are helping with the grandkids, have all the benefits of living in the community they love, but are in a space that fits their needs better, fully accessible, and they can still do all the things they were doing, out of their single family home. So all of these circumstances can really be helped. And the good thing for them was, look, when they're not in it, their daughter will rent it out, and it'll be a source of income. So it's, for us, we see a real win-win just to creating the housing that we need in Massachusetts. We're way behind. We're something like 200,000 housing units short. We're all living longer. That's great. We have all these young adults who we want to keep in Massachusetts, and housing affordability is a big reason why folks are choosing to leave Massachusetts. So ADUs, building more housing, creating a culture that can make it easier to build the type of housing we need is really important to us.
Yeah, no, I love everything about it. It's interesting. So, from that initial, ADU home tour, we sold 5 or 6 more ADUs from that. And then we continuously do ADU home tours now every weekend. So because the number one question people have, A, will it fit on my lot? B, how much does it cost? And then C, what does 900 or whatever square foot feel like? And so for them to be able to come and tour an actual ADU, you can just see the relief on their face when they walk in the doors and say, wow, I could live. You hear out loud, they say, wow, I could live in this. So it's fun.
It must be so satisfying, right? I can see myself here, right?
Yeah.
It's great. It's great. And I think for us, it's, the work that you're doing helps unlock the potential. Because for some people, like, this is I have to manage a construction project. What's the design going to look like? Where can it go? To be able to have folks who kind of specialize in ADUs is actually super helpful to the state or to anyone who's interested in doing this, because it enables, you have land, you have a home, right? You probably have equity in your home. You probably can afford to put an ADU on and rent it out or use it for a family member, or like all of those needs can be met. But figuring out how to do it, for some people that can be a challenge. So, the fact that you're sort of specializing in this and you're seeing people come through and right away, like, eyes light up, like, this could work for us, it's pretty magical.
It is. It's fascinating to see the transformation, because we have a trailer there with our plans in. They come in the trailer and they check in, and you can see they're a little, they're looking at the outside saying, oh, wow, it looks pretty big. And then they come in the door, and, we do 9-foot ceilings and, big rooms.
Nice.
And they come in and they're like, wow. And that's all you hear is wow. And then the conversation shifts to, gee, could I live in this, to, oh, well, I would change this or I would change that. And you can see them starting to say, oh, I want to make this my own.
I love it. And like, you think about if you need something that's more accessible as you get older.
Oh, yeah.
You can customize all of that, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big thing.
You can customize it. You can be in your community. You don't have to lose that feeling of knowing your surroundings, but you also don't have to worry about, did we change the water filter, or, all the maintenance that might come with, with a bigger place, right?
Yeah, no, and that's a good point about the accessibility. So I make sure that all my ADU builds are all future-proofed. so that,
Love it.
3-foot doors, lots of blocking in the walls for future grab bars, accessible shower areas. It doesn't have to look like an ADA compliant bathroom to be ADA compliant. I want it to look really nice, but understand that they can live there for as long as they possibly can.
Smart.
That's very important to me. That and making sure that it's affordable to stay in, so that we use good materials that are at a good price point. They're going to be maintenance free, very efficient energy, heating and cooling.
Right.
Just for, a lot of people, first thing because most of these that we build are all electric, heat pump, all electric. And people are nervous about that because they have never lived in an all electric unit, and they're scared to death of the old electric bills from the 70s where it'd be $1,000 a month. And so now we have some good data, personal data. That one that I built in Plymouth has been a year now. There's 2 to 3 people living in that, and it's all electric, and their average bill has been $275 a month.
I mean, fantastic. It's more efficient. It's obviously hopefully making it more affordable, to live in a smaller space, but it's got all the creature comforts, right? The things you might need or rely on, from washers and dryers to an updated kitchen to the type of, we all probably have more space than we need, or many of us might have more space than we actually need. And if you can build it out in a way that is somewhat customized, it's amazing what we can deliver on. And like I said, the first one you did for an older adult who had a disability, that market is so strong and so necessary. So many parents who are, can I have the caretaker live there with my older adult son? They have some independence or daughter but there's something that can make it, and that's easier to get a caretaker, right? If you can provide housing, it really can be a true win-win. We are hoping that we can promote ADUs even more. How do we set up a design competition? Some communities are talking about ADU coaches, so they can make it easy for people to, how do I do this? How do I make sure, I'm filling out all the right rules with the building inspector and, addressing, where's the best location on the lot for this? So I think for us, we just want to put this on steroids and help grow the number of accessory dwelling units, because each time we do that, that's the fastest way for us to get a new unit on the market. And frankly, it's benefiting all these populations we talked about: older adults who want to live in their community and stay there, but have maybe different needs; young families who are trying to find a way to buy a home and can partner up with other family members to do so; young adults. I've got a couple of 20-somethings in my house, right? Is there a way that they can get some independence in a more affordable way? And the possibilities are really endless. So we're excited that you're doing this work. We want more communities to embrace this, and the more people that see it and see what it is. This isn't just a granny pod in the backyard, right? It's a real. No, really got all the comforts of home.
I have people that come from a very long distance, Rhode Island and Western Mass and north of Boston, to come and see an ADU, because the first thing they want to see is how big 900 square feet feels like. So it's exciting to see these people, and I will tell you, over the last 6 months that I've been doing these home tours, the amount of families coming through is increasing every week. I see it increasing every week. So it's
You're
fascinating.
You're a one-man ADU, Buz. I love it, all right? You're selling the ADUs. How long does it take you from start to finish? What's the average timeline that families can expect? Obviously, lot sizes differ and all of that. But.
So we guarantee, from the day we're digging, we guarantee a 100-day build. So
wow, phenomenal, right?
Yeah, and if it's going to be more than that, if it's a tricky site or tricky septic system, we'll tell them that up front. The most we've been so far is 115 days. So we move them right along. We are stick building.
That's 4 months, right?
Yeah,
4 months from start to finish is, I wish all construction projects could say that, right? So it's terrific to, you can think about it. You can work to try and figure out how to get it financed. And for people who are renting them out, they're still getting decent rents, so that, a lot of that can be offset if you've got equity in your home. We're finding that some homeowners will take some of that equity, build their ADU, and able to recoup those costs, fairly quickly. Given some of the, the opportunities to rent out spaces as well.
Yeah, just some empirical data. So I've had roughly 260 Zoom meetings since February, with potential clients and obviously tons of on-site meetings. But from those Zoom meetings, 60% is a parent or parents that are going to sell a family home and build an ADU, or the child is going to buy the family home and the ADU in the backyard for the parents. The next 15 to 20% is someone in the family has some type of disability that needs help. And the last 20%-ish is a young adult that wants their first home. So that's kind of that's the makeup that I'm seeing on this in the South Shore market for the local demographics.
Yeah, super interesting. I know we're tracking data. Like since the law was passed, there's been 880 permits pulled, over 550 ADUs completed. Since making it permissible as of right with the new state law, the Affordable Homes Act. I don't think we're tracking the data on the user who's there. We just get sort of the building permit info.
Yeah.
But that would be useful for us to think about. And again, we see real we haven't even scratched the surface of what we could do here in terms of creating housing that people need in their communities. And if you can pull that around in 120 days, and that's new construction detached.
Correct.
There are definitely people who are converting garages or taking the third floor attic, other, existing infrastructure. And that may even be faster, depending upon what's needed if you've already got some of the basics.
I've seen a couple of garage conversions. I haven't done any, but I've done a couple I've seen a couple garage conversions and they moved right along. So if you have a structure and it's worthy of saving, it's definitely you're going to save money, and B, you're probably going to save some time. So, the biggest thing in this market, the biggest variable here is septic. So, there's not a lot of municipal sewer down here. There's some, but not a lot of municipal sewer in my market. And the septic is always the wild card that we need to work on right away to see if we can make the project work. That's is
the tough part.
Yeah, sure. The number one, the two reasons the ADU doesn't happen, what I've seen so far, is family dynamics. So there's a lot of family dynamics around this, inheritance and all kinds of things that go into that.
Right.
And then secondly is, will it fit with a septic, especially if you have septic in a well? That can get tricky.
Right.
So those are the two, and the DEP is passed some really, I think, solid guidance. So at least we know what we can do. Yep. And I really appreciate that. So I will say that for the most part, 90% of the towns that I've been working in, it's been fine. They've accepted the law as written, and they've put their own little spin on it, some towns, but nothing egregious. So I'm again, hats off to your whole team and everyone that helped draft this law, because it's taken off.
Well, our goal is to get housing into communities to help the people who we all rely on. And for us, we see ADUs as one of many. It doesn't work for everyone, right? Everyone has different needs, but it certainly can work for a lot more people. There's been great examples from other states. So we're going to continue to push it, but all of that will be for naught if we don't have somebody to build it, Buz. So it's really great to spend time with you. I'm so grateful that you're really busy. And bringing people through is probably the genius move, right? Because then when people can see it and see themselves in it, as we talked about, all of a sudden that probably leads to let's operationalize, let's sign. Figure out how to do this too.
Yeah, I know we got to wrap this up, but just if you're ever down this way, I'd love to have you come tour an ADU and maybe meet some of the people that are building, the families, and why they did it. I think it would be a big fun. So we're going to extend that opportunity to you, and hopefully someday we can make that happen. I'd love to meet you in person and show you around one of my ADUs.
Buz, count me in, okay? We're going to make that happen.
All right, great stuff.
I want to showcase it to other people too. We want folks to know that there's more housing options that might be living right under their nose. And to the extent that we can do that, we'd really appreciate it. Hey, it's great talking with you. Let's keep the ADUs going, all right?
Yeah, that's a wrap for today's episode of the BuildX Podcast. Thank you, Lieutenant Governor, for joining us. Please subscribe, like, and share if you've enjoyed it. See you next week. And remember, just build, baby.
Bye, Buz. Take care.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you.